You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 109.
Sheepsquatch, space bacteria, and sonic attack solved.
That's right. Bunch of things that don't seem to go together, and by the end of this podcast, we're going to make sure that they don't go together. Sometimes you find random things you think to be interesting, and you're like, well, that's cool. Is there some sort of relationship between A, B, and C? And sometimes there's just not really.
Usually we tie it all together, but
not this time.
Yeah, like
so if you were looking forward to that thing, I am sorry. You were about to be disappointed.
Well,
write that down. That's a word I just made.
Well, there's another source that we use for a lot of our research, and they pointed out the same thing, how 2019, the beginning of the year, the quirky stuff's kind of hard to correlate together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. If you do listen to our audio podcast, very much appreciated. And we've been kind of going and doing some things a little bit differently here with the podcast. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of live stream, van cast. That's where we go broadcast live from a van from an undisclosed Walmart location here in Western North Carolina. Yeah. And if it's your first time tuning into this particular podcast, what do we do here?
Well, broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our CreepGeeks Bunker Studio in the mountains of Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
We're an offbeat news podcast that takes a light-hearted approach to the strange, the stupid, paranormal, and tech topics circulating the web.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very nice.
And if you'd like to call the show, you can call us at any time, leave a message. The phone number to call us is 575-208-4025, and that is a Roswell area code. You can always subscribe to us on YouTube. That's where we go when we do our little live streams and our van casts. We'll put a link in the show notes to this podcast episode. And you can always reach us anytime, creepgeeks.com.
Yes. That is true.
Now, we are still doing our little mini contest. We're trying to grow the podcast with reviews. So if you can go on to iTunes, Google Play, wherever you listen to this podcast through, and give us a rating. We only accept the finest quality 3 to 5 star reviews.
Yes.
Leave us a review and then drop us a line that you left a review. You'll get entered into an automatic drawing to win some free podcast swag.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I was just thinking, we say we accept only the finest quality 3 to 5 star reviews. What if the reason why we don't get any reviews is because nobody wants to go above 3?
Well, if they have some constructive feedback, I will gladly accept it.
Well, if it's too bad, I'll fight them in the front yard, and that's no lie. How about that? No, I mean, you know what it is. It's depending on where you're listening. It's a pain to go review.
Actually, I went to check our reviews on iTunes. And just as the podcast, it was a pain to get to them. So, yeah.
They don't make it easy.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, as we do, if you like to listen to the podcast, we like to talk to you. So it's a fair exchange, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so getting back to it. The last episode we talked about a bunch of different stuff. And this episode is going to be a bunch of different stuff. So pretty much unrelated. So a lot of times we like to try to build off the previous episode. But we're not doing that. It's just not working. So,
well, then we should move straight to the interesting
that's what we're
factoid.
doing. I was getting to that point when you had to go in and go, well, then we should do. So anyway, as we like to do most of every podcast we do, is we do start off with some random interesting factoids.
Okay.
And since you want to get in there, go ahead. You can read the first one.
Okay. Well, this interesting factoid is about Tesla.
Yeah?
Yes. Tesla was...
Who?
Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla.
Yes. Tesla.
He invented the electric cars, homie.
No.
Yes, he did. I'm Greg, by the way. That's homie.
Yes.
Yes.
Nikolai Tesla.
Inventor of the electric car.
Oh, you better stop.
Can you imagine 100 years from now if they find some kind of relic or whatever, how they could just get history completely screwed up?
What if branding, marketing, and digital marketing just totally ruins how archaeologists and anthropologists put stuff together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's possible some of the hieroglyphs they were reading are just basically
the
graffiti.
Same way.
Yeah.
So, like, what, 1,000 years from now? So there's this Egyptian queen, Beyonce.
Yeah. Pretty much. So anyway, this random factoid about Tesla.
Yes, he was born during a lightning storm. Yes, the man who would conduct experiments with light later on in his career was born during the darkest of times.
Maybe that's when he basically showed up, because there is a theory that Tesla's a time traveler.
And then he got stuck and died here?
Sure.
Oh, that's so sad.
That something changed and, basically he couldn't get back.
That's so depressing.
I think it's also the case with Keanu Reeves.
Pharrell Williams. Who's the other guy? Nicolas Cage? No.
No, not like a Carrot Top.
Really?
No, I don't know.
No. There's like that whole list of people that I think are time travelers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to bug me now.
Well, that was actually in our last episode, I think. We talked about that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to...
Anyway. Okay, so Tesla.
It is Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
Yep. And, Alec Baldwin. Matthew McConaughey. That's who it was. Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Matthew McConaughey, Pharrell, and Nicolas Cage.
Oh.
And Keanu Reeves.
John Travolta. I forgot about him.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is that when we were talking about last time, when you flat out ask them if they're time travelers, they never deny it.
Well, Keanu, Matthew,
they just really don't
and
answer.
Pharrell don't answer it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, anyways.
Okay, so Tesla was born in a lightning storm. Mr. Direct Current himself. Actually, he also created alternating current, if I remember correctly. But here's the second interesting random factoid for Mr. Tesla. He thought of mobile phone technology and wireless internet way back in 1901.
Wow.
He had imagined the transmission of messages wirelessly before anyone did. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But if he was a time traveler, he was like, I got to send a text home. I got to get back, bro. Got to get back. So.
Well, I think it's interesting because, it's been in the news lately. And then I believe Disney, like the Disney parks, they're trying to incorporate some of his technology to allow for wireless charging for their patrons.
Huh.
Yeah, so now they have a test room built where, people who frequent or walk into this room, while they're walking in, looking at exhibits and stuff, their phones will wirelessly charge. So
I don't know if I like that.
yeah, because, that leads into a lot of security things I'm concerned about.
I'm a front pocket phone man. My phone goes in my front pocket because I wear man pants, not the skinny jeans. I don't know if I want that phone charging that close to a sensitive area.
Important stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so anyway, moving back into the podcast, we got a couple different things to talk about, and most everybody, I'm sure, has seen this stupid-ass movie called Bird Box.
It's not stupid.
Yeah, you know what it's called, Bird Box?
Yes.
Okay, well, people are doing stupid things. How about that? Maybe the movie's not stupid, but people are starting to do stupid things. And if you paid attention to this movie, Bird Box, because the reason why we put it on the podcast, because we do like to talk about creepy stuff, weird stuff, paranormal stuff, funny stuff like that, is because it's got monsters in it.
It's an apocalyptic story.
Yeah. End of the world.
Yeah.
Monsters are coming, but nobody can see them because you see your own Private Idaho monster. Remember that movie, Private Idaho?
No, actually.
Keanu was in it.
I never saw it.
Okay. Well, anyway, see, so we put it in there because we thought it to be interesting, right? But here we go. And part of if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. Well, I'm not going to do this. There's really no spoiler alert. You pretty much know right out of the gate what's going on, right?
The spoiler, if it is a spoiler, is that you have to be blindfolded to survive the situation.
Because you can't see. If you open your eyes and you see, then you'll see some kind of monster.
Or something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to kill yourself. I guess it is a spoiler alert, isn't it?
Or others.
Or others, yeah.
Or it'll make you go mad.
Yeah.
If you're not already mad.
So, this is how people were surviving, being all blindfolded and stuff, right? And so they had to What was her name?
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, but I can't remember what her name was in the movie. Anyway, Sandra Bullock she's transporting these two kids, girl and boy, across the country or across this vast distance to try to get to a land of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they don't look; they're all blindfolded, and there's like certain rules, like never ever take your blindfold off, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty. It was a pretty decent movie, I guess.
I liked it.
It was pretty uncomfortable, but one of the things it seems to have spawned from this
is the Bird Box Challenge.
Yeah, is the Bird Box Challenge where because they drive a car. You know, there's a couple scenes in there where they're like driving the car with a blindfold on.
Yeah.
So this stupid teenager in Utah, or Utah, as aliens like to pronounce it, right?
That's not true at all.
Yes, it is. Blindfolded. Oh, my God, my computer started playing. It scared me real bad. There we go. So the blindfolded Utah teen crashes his car doing the Bird Box Challenge.
A blindfolded teenage driver in Utah crashed into another car for obvious reasons on Monday, according to Layton Police Department.
It's like, well, I don't understand you were blindfolded, right? So Bird Box Driving Challenge, predictable result.
Yes.
And that's what the police tweeted.
They tweeted it.
So they tweeted it all out there, right? So there's two mangled cars on Layton Parkway surrounded by snow-covered sidewalks. One truck appears to have his passenger side bumper bent inward, while the entire side of a Honda HR-V is smashed.
Here's the thing. It's an older truck, and then the Honda HR-V. I wonder which one they were driving.
Probably the one with all the smashed side airbag stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Luckily, no injuries. It was a 17-year-old girl driving with a
it was a girl. I didn't realize it was a girl. I just figured this has got to be the work of a stupid teenage boy. Having at one time in my life been a stupid teenage boy,
hey,
I could totally see doing something
equality.
dumb like
We
this.
have the right to be just as dumb. So,
well, that's true.
But she had a 16-year-old passenger with her at the time of the crash. So, yeah. Now the
Two stupids.
Yeah, the Bird Box Challenge has gone viral on social media. People, on top of the driving scene, there was things like extreme sports, hiking, people doing outdoors stuff like whitewater rafting, and people,
While they're blindfolded.
Yeah, while they're blindfolded. But nobody's doing the articles on that stuff. There's a couple of blogs out there about hikers hurting themselves. But this makes news because why? Why would you do that? You know, the Bird Box situation's not going on right now.
Remember last year, and I don't think this is going to be the stupidest thing, the stupidest viral trend in 2019, because last year was the eating of the Tide Pods, right? So I'm pretty sure the Bird Box Challenge it is out of the gate in the beginning of 2019. It is.
We're on to a great start.
Yeah, we're definitely on track to recreate the 2018 sort of garbage. But in this article there, and all the links of everything we talk about are in our show notes. And if you go to CreepGeeks.com, you can find our podcast and the show notes there as well.
Yeah. Shows
people doing things like lifting weights with the blindfold. I guess that's probably safe or safer than driving a car, I'm sure. Other stuff like that. Yeah. And then, Netflix actually put out a tweet that says, I can't believe I have to say this. I didn't realize Netflix was like one person.
It's not.
I know.
But it. No,
Did you really just? Of course, I know it's not.
No,
just one
I'm saying
person.
their
You're
social media team doesn't normally tweet like that.
I know, but it says, "Can't believe I have to say this," like it would be the figurehead of Netflix or something like that.
Yeah.
But please do not hurt yourselves with this Bird Box Challenge. We don't know how this started. Of course, they know how this started, right? And we appreciate the love, but boy and girl have just one wish for 2019: is that you not end up in the hospital due to memes. So they act like they don't know. I mean, come on. So law enforcement in Colorado predicted last week that someone might attempt the Bird Box Challenge while driving and also warned people against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The challenge really hasn't been that dangerous, but inevitably somebody's going to do the monumentally stupid thing that is driving a car while blindfolded. Yeah. And it's funny to have a nice little message from the Colorado State Patrol, and the dude's got a blindfold on.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't have to say this, but we're gonna. Don't drive blindfolded.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
I think it's real sad. So.
Yeah. And one of the articles down there says, You know, Sandra Bullock's new Netflix movie inspires people to take the Bird Box challenge. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. It's like, huh. You know, but here's the thing, though. We all think we can do it because we all do the Bird Box challenge. Late at night, you're like going to get up and got to go to the bathroom or something like that. You don't be flipping all the lights on. So what do?
Every time I take my contacts out, I'm practically doing the
Yeah.
Bird Box challenge.
But, you know, the bad thing about the Bird Box challenge is, you know, in the movie, monsters. When you do it at home in the middle of the night trying to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
you stub your toe on something, you know, you pretty much it hurts, but you don't die from it, right?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just kind of crazy.
Oh, there's a kid with a little motor cart in his house knocking his parents' stuff over.
And see, that was something else that kind of got spawned from it. Like parents doing the Bird Box challenge. I seen one where it's like this mom, dad, and they got their little kids, and they're all blindfolded, and they're going to run away. And they just run, the parents run through the doorway, and the kid runs into the wall. And the kid has no choice in the matter. He's like, two, just blast off the wall real quick. So,
Oh, gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to the podcast and you're doing the Bird Box challenge, we would just like to say, go ahead and record it so that we could watch it later.
And make fun.
Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me? Really?
No.
I mean, I don't have any inkling at all to want to do the Bird Box challenge.
No.
So,
I mean,
you do the Bird Box challenge and you wear your sleep mask thing, like every night. You never know.
I'm laying in
So,
bed,
I'm always
though.
afraid whenever I wear one of those, somebody's going to smack me in the face. You'd never see it coming.
You could feel it.
You could feel what?
You could feel the
Yeah,
air
after somebody
whooshing.
smacks you in the face, you can't feel if you're feeling the whoosh
Yeah.
of the hand about to strike you in the face. You're going to feel your face getting struck by the hand
You
that
might
made
be
the
able to
whooshing
move your
noise.
face.
Where would you move it to?
I would turn the other cheek.
Well, I'm going to play some happy,
You go right
some
ahead.
happier music because the next topic is space bacteria mutating inside the International Space Station.
That's a little horrifying.
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Yes.
Stop.
Okay, we're back. We didn't really go anywhere. I drank some Snapples.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got to tell you, man, I like this Snapple stuff. The peach tea. I don't know why. I do. It's
Yeah.
weird. I liked it when it first came out. And then I just kind of dropped off the face of the earth for me for a long time. And now it has a little bit of resurgence. I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that, though. For a while, though, you couldn't get it where we lived a
Yeah.
while back. So, yeah.
You know how I like how at the bottom of the jar when you get it, it has a little bit of space bacteria in it.
It does not
And
have
then
space.
you shake it up. So,
That is tea
okay, first
particles.
off, did you know that there was such a thing as space bacteria?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No. Did you know it's mutating inside the International Space Station?
That part I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of scares me.
Yeah, so I read this. These are stressful and harsh conditions. Does the environment select right for super bugs because they have an advantage? So, when I read that, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, what? And then what they mean by the threshold harsh conditions are inside the International Space Station, and conditions that the Russian space program suggested last year that could drive a lonely and stressed astronaut to sabotage the ship by drilling a tiny hole. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They found a little tiny hole in the attached Soyuz space capsule.
Oh.
And they had to patch it. And they were trying to say, that it's possible that maybe one of the astronauts did it because they were ready to come home.
Oh.
But it wasn't really proven.
Yeah.
But, it's a built environment, right? So it's entirely possible that being a built environment where they're exchanging the air and all that stuff, that you can, have space bacteria.
Okay.
So it contains a variety of microorganisms, some of which pose critical health to human risks, right?
Yeah.
Hospital-acquired infection, antibiotic resistance, all this crazy stuff can happen. And what they're saying is that they uncovered a combination of complex biological functions that may play a role in bacterial survival under the presumed selective pressures in a model-built environment, which is the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
So they're thinking that this space bacteria is probably not necessarily a bad thing.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm reading this thinking, man, okay, there's a couple strains of bacteria. What's going to happen? I mean, could it turn into a thing where these space bugs can kill astronauts and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
But what they found is, from taking a look at it and examining that data, because I didn't want to go into this in great and agonizing detail, is that primarily the bacteria are adapting to live.
Oh, so they're
not adapting to
infiltrate.
To eat. You know what I mean? To take over. To take over. I mean,
so
they're not replicating to try to be bacteria. They're just trying to survive.
They're replicating and growing to evolve to be able to live in this environment.
Yeah.
And then once that ever happens, then we'd have to be worried about them taking over the human race or something.
Well, I mean, it's space bacteria. It's mutating while it's up there. And they were worried that it could do something to the space station. Can you imagine if they just got so overrun with bacteria they couldn't use it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, the ultimate solution for stuff like that is to go ahead and like pop a hatch and let all the air out, right?
Oh, God. So. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I thought that was kind of crazy. It's kind of like, what? Space bacteria? But if the bacteria are just trying to survive,
yeah,
that's probably not so bad.
Well, and the conditions in space are so severe, even with something like the space station. Well, at the end of the article, they mentioned the twin astronauts, Scott and Mark Kelly, where they had Scott living in space and Mark being, down on Earth, and how severe it was. I mean, if space is so tumultuous and so difficult to survive in, imagine these lesser bacteria with lesser functions and lesser evolution than a multi-cell organism. I mean, they're probably having a tough time just adapting.
Yeah.
I just don't want one of them to come home on somebody and, I don't know, thrive.
Yeah. Well, they get all like quarantined for a minute.
Yeah.
They get all scrubbed off like all Silkwood style, like brushes and like scrub them down,
Every single sci-fi movie.
Yeah. When you get exposed. But, yeah. So when I read that, I was like, man, that's not that bad.
And
because space bacteria is mutating inside the International Space Station is what they say.
yeah.
And the mutation, the way it sounds like when you first read it, like, oh, here we go, zombies or something, right? And that's not the case.
Yeah.
This is something you don't think about. When you're in space, you're in this, like, the enclosed bubble. You don't really think about bacteria and stuff like that, like mold and junk.
But
so
towards the end of this, they're actually reaching out to this scientist person, and he mentions, but as we talk about expanding spaceflight to tourists who do not necessarily meet astronaut criteria, we don't know what will happen. We can't say that if you put someone with an infection or like a compromised immune system into a closed bubble in space, that it won't transfer to other people. It's like when someone coughs on an airplane and everyone gets sick.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone but the bacteria. And that
Bacteria's like, great, we have some real food now.
that does bother me as someone who has a low immune system. Astronauts, they're in great health. They meet rigorous training. But as we start allowing civilians up into space, I mean, what if one of them's just like one of those people that just gets all the germs and always gets sick?
Well, when they get done, when they get before, I think probably before and after they go up on their space tourism thing,
Yeah.
they'll probably have to get bathed in Perel or something like that, some kind of antibacterial.
You would hope, but
They
it's...
throw them in that like Bactum tank or whatever it was from Star Wars.
Yeah, but it's tourists, civilians. Are they,
If you want to go to space, I'm going to need you to get in this Perel tub and get all the areas, scrub it all behind the ears, get all the areas.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's kind of gross, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or, like, instead of Purell, what was it in, like, the old sci-fi movies? They just spray this powder on you?
I think it was DDT. Some kind of something.
Like in a tent, and they would just shoot this powder at you? Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of like what's that crap you spray on plants to get rid of bugs?
Pesticides?
There you go. Get in here and get this DDT. But I think it was DDT, actually. It's like DEET or DDT or something like that.
If you know, you should email us at contact@creepgeeks.com and let us know.
Yeah. Get in here and take... It's just DDT, guys. It's not that bad. Be over in a minute.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, yes, begin mutation.
But it was effective.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So, okay, remember the sonic attacks that happened, like in Cuba, and there was a couple other places, right?
Yeah, but
remember
it was
hearing
like,
about that?
Yeah, but we got a lot of the attention for Cuba because those people had to basically get evacuated. I remember that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they were like U.S. peoples.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's just so ridiculous. Okay, so these sonic attacks happened like to United States citizens. Some of them were like delegates, and some happened at a couple U.S. embassies.
Yeah.
It's like last year. And so some of these diplomats that are working in like China and Cuba, and they would have these strange cognitive injuries like hearing loss, confusion. Sometimes they even had like concussion-like symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the speculation started with these diplomats. It's like, they're under some kind of sonic weapon attack.
Yeah.
Some kind of covert attack, right?
Which, at the time when the articles were released, was totally believable. The symptoms that they were describing were very indicative of some sort of, I don't know, sound weaponry.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
Some kind of sound/infrasound attack.
Yeah.
Well, here's where I kind of have to go. What? You know what they're saying was the cause
No.
of these sonic attacks, where people actually suffered physical and physiological impact from these attacks?
What?
Noisy crickets.
I will throw something because that's just preposterous.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's no way. Granted, I don't like too many crickets. Like if it's really noisy, I'll like shut my windows, but there's no way it would cause concussion-like symptoms. Migraines,
Yeah.
pain behind the eyes,
Bleeding from the ears, nose, and rectum.
No, that wasn't. I don't remember that symptom.
Yeah.
But I do remember the migraine, the concussion-like symptoms, the pain behind the eyes. I remember, and like the confusion thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crickets don't do that.
No.
I mean, no. So, but since intelligence personnel are involved and it's like diplomats, do you think, did they explain this cricket thing thoroughly or what?
I think they're just basically saying that it's just crickets.
Okay.
Because that way they don't have to describe it. Or say they don't know.
Okay.
But basically, it's a sonic weapon.
Yeah.
And it's not crickets.
I don't buy that at
So
all.
they're like, oh, it was crickets. Just a weather balloon. There's crickets out there. Because, noisy crickets can cause that. And there's no way.
Yeah.
We've all been around noisy crickets, and they don't cause those symptoms.
Yeah.
Why don't they just say it is what it is? It's like an infrasound attack.
Yeah. Now, maybe... So somebody was studying crickets a few years ago. Actually, this was like almost like 6 or 8 years ago. Some university was studying crickets and playing with the tones that they made. You know, like slowing them down, bringing them up, changing, I guess, the decibel levels or whatever. And it was really interesting because they were making music out of that. Now, if you took the Caribbean cricket and maybe recorded it and then tweaked it, maybe that could cause it, but that's still sound weaponry.
Yeah.
That's still manipulating a sound to cause distress in somebody.
Well, there was so there was a report published in open source journal.
Yeah.
Called BioRivX. Or BioRiv 4. It's BioRxiv, so I'm not sure. But the sound recordings that were presented as evidence of the sonic attacks matches perfectly the call of a specific Caribbean cricket. So scientists performed a spectral analysis of the recordings and the recordings were given to the Associated Press. And these recordings that the Associated Press has were reported as what the American embassy personnel heard in Cuba. Mm-hmm. And after performing those analyses, researchers Alexander Stubbs and Fernando believe the recording is of the call of the, I can't pronounce this, Indies short-tailed cricket.
Okay.
Okay. The AP recording matches the duration, pulse, repetition rate, power spectrum, oscillations per pulse, and frequency decay in individual pulses of the call of that particular cricket.
Yeah.
And if this wasn't a recording of a cricket call, someone sure worked hard to ensure whatever it was sounded and appeared exactly like a cricket call. So, what if somebody just handed them a recording of a cricket and said, this is the noise that was heard?
Or, could you just describe what it sounded like? Or, hey, I was in my office dictating some files when this happened. And that's the only thing they could pick up from the situation. They grabbed, the dictation audio. But still, if they described hearing a noise like this when they started having those symptoms, I could kind of understand investigating this possible, suspect, the cricket being a suspect. But still, it would make me want to go further than just saying, oh, it was just the crickets.
I think somebody just handed in something and said, yes, this is the noise that was heard.
Which is funny because, if you live in very humid places, I'm assuming Cuba is just as humid as a place I lived in, Virginia, which is a humid place. Crickets get really, really, really loud, but
not like that.
Not like this. You would have to record the crickets, tweak the sound in some really good sound editing program, and then manipulate it in some way to cause this much discomfort.
Well, I wonder if maybe the actual sound that's causing the damage we can't even hear to begin with. And
True.
They're using the crickets as a carrier sort of tone.
But even a recording software or, sound analysis software would be able to pick that up, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So, if you have a microphone that records 20 decibels and you are speaking way, way, way lower than that, it may even, just the rate, right? Mm-hmm. If it's too low to hear, or if it's not what the recording equipment can actually record because of whatever spectrum it falls in, whatever repetition, whatever cycle, whatever, all that stuff is frequency. They didn't want to say frequency in any of that. That's just what was funny. If you can't record the frequency, it won't record it.
Yeah.
Right? But when they talk about that, it's they didn't say what frequency or any of that stuff. And they went a long way just to kind of say crickets. I just don't.
Without significant detail.
Yeah.
To me, So.
But they tried to explain it in a way that, if you read it, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. If
there we go. Duration, pulse repetition rate, power spectrum, oscillations per pulse, which is basically your frequency and the rate, anyway, and frequency decay in individual pulses of the call that particular. So if you read that and you didn't know any better, you'd be like, oh, wow, okay. That's enough science stuff for me to believe it, and then you'd move on.
That's enough
Right?
science for
Yeah,
today.
we got all sciencey. We're good. I don't think so. And that's one of the things that I've been starting to kind of take a look at. But it's a rabbit hole, and
But-
it's basically infrasound.
And I don't even think it's a palatable reasoning. I think we're getting to a point now where it's not.
You read
know,
the science. You
yeah.
read the science words. How dare you?
Yeah, I think we're past the explanations for Roswell, as far as the average reader and the average audience.
Yeah.
I don't think
Just a weather balloon.
we're just going to
Just
fall
crickets.
for this excuse. I don't think this is a rational explanation unless they were to truly break it down and say, okay, this is how we came to picking up the cricket as a suspect or suspect tone. This is the actual analysis we did. This is the software we used. This is how we determined it. Maybe then I would have been, okay, I can kind of see this, but just this blanket written by a PR person who probably threw out all the science. No, I'm not buying this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still interested. Like, are the diplomats okay? That type of stuff. There's been no updates on that either.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because infrasound, that scares me. I mean, can it make your brain burst? I'm being ridiculous, but
No, low frequency sound and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can die from it.
really.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So,
Okay.
but if it's crickets, you just better stay away.
Just annoyed.
And I mean, if it's this Caribbean cricket, which I cannot pronounce, Angarilius, I'm not even going to try it. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't believe it. I don't think crickets can get loud enough. I just don't think that that's what it was.
An Arogulus
Say hi to your mother for me.
Celronictus.
Yeah, sounds great. Oh, how are you doing? I'm having a problem with my cellulitis.
Stop.
Please help. Help me. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So I just thought that was kind of a joke. I'm like, is this a joke? But I guess it was not. So anyway, while we were there kind of checking out some stuff and looking at the Aurelius nictus or whatever that thing is called, the Caribbean cricket, it's causing all these problems with these American diplomats in China and Cuba. Kind of found this article, which is kind of nice. It's kind of long. Mm-hmm. And this is called The Mysterious White Things of Western Virginia or West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you should go ahead and talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Because it has a pretty picture on it, and I figured that you'd want to talk about the pretty part.
Oh, the pretty part is just like the spectral
Like white dogs,
wolf creature
white
thing.
devils,
But it kind of has like a...
It's going to lead into Sheepsquatch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are a lot of mysterious phenomena in the weird world of ours, and there's always flitter about on the periphery of our understanding and ability to adequately classify them. One type of phenomena that has grown to encompass so many disparate mysteries involves a menagerie of strange beasts and entities that are pure white and almost always malevolent, which roam the wilderness of the United States,
Yeah.
the state of West Virginia. Now, they come in many shapes, take on many countenances and behaviors, but they're always fierce, strange, and have been come to known simply as the white things. Now, I guess typical descriptions are the white dogs or white devils, and can be traced back to native Cherokee lore since before stuff like this started being tracked, like cryptozoology started being tracked, with the legend of the white wolf as far as Native American lore. These mysterious wolves were said to be stark white in color and much larger, more powerful, and more ferocious than a typical wolf. To see these ghostly pale wolves lurking through the trees was said to be an ominous sign, as they were seen as heralds of death, and according to the lore, they are only visible to those whom death is coming. To see one is a sure sign that the end was drawing closer. Now, this may sound like pure legend and folklore, but in Appalachian regions, there would be sightings by settlers of extremely large white wolves or dogs roaming about, and this would gradually extend to other physical forms such as white bears,
Yeah.
badgers, lions, and even cows. I don't know. I mean, the cows or cattle, I could see that totally being something in the Southwest and being very Native American.
Sure.
The white bears and lions, that's a bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, especially in West Virginia. Now, the more dog-like ones stemming from Cherokee lore alone are said to take on a myriad of descriptions from wolves to dogs, or even more feline forms like the mountain lion. Okay, all right. The commonality being that they are always stark snow white. Sometimes they're described as having glowing red eyes. They're reported as being bipedal or moving on all fours. And right there, what screams me is the good skinwalkers in the Southwest
What, because they're white?
have that description, yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, because the bad ones are like a grayish white, so a pure white is supposed to be kind of an okay sign. Now, they're always a mixture, moving on all fours or bipedal. They're always vicious, devious monsters attacking with little provocation, but oddly often not leaving behind any injury other than whatever mental scars the fear of the encounter might leave. So it's all psychological.
Yeah.
Now, there is a book called The Monsters of West Virginia where they describe these beasts as they are covered with long, shaggy, snow white or dirty white hair, and they often have immense jaws and fangs. They move at lightning speed, sometimes on 2 legs rather than 4. Sometimes they seem to have too many legs. Their chilling screams sound like a woman being assaulted or murdered. Whatever they are bloodthirsty and attack without provocation. The attacks are so real that people actually feel the beast's fangs tearing into their flesh. But when the attack is over, they're shocked to find not a mark on their body.
See, it's almost like hellhounds or something, except there's no mark.
Yeah. Now, the beasts rip up animals in the fashion of a werewolf, tearing out their throats and mutilating their bodies and leaving the corpses bloodless and without a trace of blood around. Like all mysterious creatures, there are variations in the description of the white things and even labels. Some of the mystery beings are called white devils, for they have red eyes and long, sharp claws, and the ability to run and walk upright. Some of these beasts have a connection to cemeteries, not an aversion, and thus are death omen creatures. Yeah. They do go on to mention...
They could be incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Teleport from place to places.
Yeah.
So you see them one spot, then they're in somewhere else.
Yeah.
But, here's some of the stuff. This is for a very, very long, and this is from Cryptoville, right? From a report that was given on, I guess it's a website.
Yeah.
For a very long time, people told me about the white thing of Raglan, West Virginia, which is just outside of Delbarton, West Virginia, Mingo County. Right. And it says one friend said that it could run faster than anything he'd ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
Stood up on 2 legs like a man and was tall. Right. 2 other friends were on ATV, all-terrain vehicles, like quad runners or whatever those things are. Beside railroad tracks and at the edge of the dark, they seen a thing run across their path on 4 legs like a dog, then jump onto a stack of railroad ties, about 4.5 feet tall, on 2 legs before jumping an excess of 10 feet onto the hillside.
Okay.
That's crazy. And so they were like 15 or 16 at the time. They were very, shaken up. They went home. They were crying like little girls because they were scared.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, right. But see, in that, why in, I guess what I'm a little confused is why that one place in West Virginia, or why in West Virginia in general?
So, I actually...
What's the link, right?
Yeah.
Because there's more reports of this sort of thing, but the point that they use to illustrate running on 4 legs and then jumping on 2 and that kind of thing, it makes you think Dogman too. On top of all that,
Yeah.
but why white and why in West Virginia? Why? I guess what's there? I mean, something would need to be there, I would think, right?
And that's the thing I started to think about. Like, we would hear general things like Thunderbird or, certain things about skinwalkers when we lived in Virginia before we moved to New Mexico. As
Yeah.
we moved to New Mexico, we found out the reasons for those things. Thunderbird actually stemmed from a beautiful American legend. And then skinwalkers, it was basically like the evolution of something that was tradition. But you have to be there, or you have to do that intensive folklore research to figure out why this happened or how this came to be as like a local monster. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So now it's the Appalachian Mountains. One of the things when they keep describing them as pure white or dirty white and things like that, I keep thinking herding dogs for rough terrain, like Great Pyrenees or those Anatolie shepherds. Those things are huge, and they're bigger than wolves. Well, they're bigger than East Coast wolves, I would say that. So, but they don't glow red eyes, and they don't stand bipedal,
Yeah.
you know? But maybe there's something we don't know about that particular county or that particular area of West Virginia. Maybe it's cursed. Maybe there's more to the story.
I mean, yeah, who knows? There was another like little part of the article where it talked about, one of these things actually sort of jumped on and attacked a hunter.
Oh.
Yeah. White dog. It says a hairy white animal with a large, like a large white dog, bushy white or bushy tail, pounced on him out of nowhere, while issuing a blood-curdling scream that echoed about them and incited great fear.
Oh.
And it says whatever this thing was, it knocked the hunter down, right down the hill that they were standing on.
Yeah.
And then after which he began to wail with a mixture of fear, panic, and pain. When the others caught up to him, he was inconsolable, screaming desperately that the creature had badly mauled him and ripped out his guts.
Oh.
And they did a quick reality check on him, right?
Yeah.
And a little inspection showed he didn't have a scratch on him.
Gosh.
So it was obvious that he was not hallucinating because there was people with him and they'd seen the creature too. So what is it, right?
Yeah.
Why would it attack and cause this and then not leave any mark at all?
Psychological damage?
Yeah, but I mean...
Kind of like if a skinwalker in the Southwest, if it touches you, it might give you a burn where it touched you, but other than that, it doesn't really attack you. The attack comes the days afterward.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something like that. Now, what I did see, an odd report is that of a witness who saw a large brownish-white horned creature crawl from the underbrush while out hiking on a remote trail. Its coat was apparently shaggy and matted. The witness could not tell whether a creature was a mixture of brown or white, or if it was just a white coat that was super filthy. Whatever it reported was surrounded by a gag-inducing potent smell of sulfur.
Gross.
That's a hellhound.
Could be, but I mean, it's
Possibly.
horned. It's
Yeah.
probably, maybe it's a hell cow.
Well,
The cows don't grow hair that long, I don't think.
But then again,
Maybe a bison or something?
what do you call them? Bighorn sheep are horned, and they stink.
Yeah.
The ones out in Taos, New Mexico, stinky. Now, this witness does say of the bizarre creature, the creature moved on all fours as it breached the brush line and knelt to drink from the creek. Its front limbs, the only limbs I saw clearly, ended in what looked like markedly paw-like hands. Its head was long and pointed, like a canine's, and it had largish horns. I cannot.
Hey, largest horns?
Yes, largish horns.
Like antlers?
Not antlers, but single-point horns. It drank for a few minutes, then crossed the creek and continued on across towards Sand Hill Road. When I was sure it was gone, I turned and ran as fast as I could back to the pond where I'd parked. That's kind of creepy. Yeah.
And there's multiple accounts, but there's a couple of them I thought was pretty interesting. But it's like,
Yeah.
one of the ones says, about 50 yards ahead of us, there was something in the road. It was on all fours and snow white. It was bigger than a dog, way bigger. And as we got closer, we looked in its way. Its mouth opened up, and it stood up on two legs and began running across the field, right?
Yeah.
Across the woods. And it says, all I could do is sit there stunned. And a few minutes later, Joe had asked what he'd see, what he'd seen. Mm-hmm. And unable to answer, I began to cry. So I guess this was a lady talking about, seeing it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what would you do if you seen something like that?
I don't know. I guess it depends on...
That was Melissa. That was
Yeah.
she. It's like, okay,
Well, remember when I thought I saw a UFO?
yeah,
I pulled over. Actually, I pulled over I did a U-turn, tried to pull over, then actually decided to park someplace safely, and I whipped out my camera.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. My thing is, when it comes to something like a wild animal or wild creature, I don't know if I'd have the response time.
Well, I mean, when I'm driving, I can't see half. I mean, really,
Yeah.
you're concentrating on the road, so you really don't see,
Yeah.
like a lot of the same stuff. Because I was just talking, like today, I was riding with my dad, and we actually passed this house that had been there like 100 years. I've never seen it before, and it's like right there, right off the side of the road. And so I'm like, how long has that been there? He's about 100 years. I'm like, what? I've never seen that before. And he's like, well, you don't see stuff. It's amazing how much you can see when you're not driving,
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, because they talk about all these different white things in West Virginia,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes you wonder, since you're talking about like horned animals and sort of in between animals, if it's shape-shifting, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's just weird because it's got its own thing, right? And the term white things includes a menagerie of pale beasts to encompass every hairy hominoid or hominid like Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. And it's just been sort of lumped into a collective category. So white things come in a variety of different shapes and different types.
But see, the white things thing, or, the tag or name that's been given to this thing makes it more, to me, spectral or interdimensionary. I'm not sure. It's less cryptid to me than it is paranormal. And it's weird because they're lumping Bigfoot in there, and I don't really fall into the Bigfoot being an interdimensional or spectral figure.
Yeah.
This is more something along the lines of spirituality to me. I don't know. Or like a curse.
I don't know, because there is some sort of what they're saying, like a possibility of being like a Bigfoot report, but it was just off.
Yeah.
Like something wasn't right. Like this person heard a bunch of racket on his back porch, right? Mm-hmm. So he thought maybe it was a raccoon, or she thought it was a raccoon. So she went to shoo it off, but when she looked through the window, 2 glowing red eyes, like looking right back at her, framed within a dark shape about 5 foot in height. And it says the mystery animal then ran at the house on 2 legs and then began banging on windows and walls as it let forth a furious howl. And as it loomed past the thin pane of glass separating the person that's seen this thing and this whatever this animal is, the witness could see that it was covered in long, scraggly white hair and had remarkably human-like hands.
Okay.
Right? And after some time lurking right outside the window, the thing slinked off into the night, and shortly before she disappeared completely, she could hear it enthusiastically ransacking garbage pails a bit further down the road from the house.
Okay.
And when she inspected the area under the perceived safety of daylight, she discovered that whatever it was had left behind footprints, muddy human-like handprints all over the windows, garbage and other miscellaneous objects were strewn all about the, just kind of like knocked over. Big mess. So what was that?
I don't know. I wish she had pictures. So.
Well, of course, everybody wishes they had pictures, right? So, and here's one of the things. This is why we put this in here. And something like Bigfoot, but even more bizarre or otherworldly, is what has become to be called Sasquatch.
Sheepsquatch.
Sheepsquatch. That's what I said. Sheepsquatch, right? So, but here's why I like this, right?
Yeah.
It says across a large swath of West Virginia, including Boone, which I thought was in North Carolina, but I guess there's West Virginia, Boone, West Virginia. Kanawha, Putnam, and Mason counties are said to be lurking a hulking creature, which is really hard to classify.
Yeah.
Starting around the mid-1990s, it began a string of sightings of what is described as a pure white, woolly, bear-sized beast with a pointed head topped by goat-like horns, a snouted face with long, sharp teeth, long, hairless tail, like an opossum, often reported as accompanied by a pungent, sulfurous stench. And for a while there, the creature was just called the white thing.
Yeah.
But now, people are calling it Sheepsquatch.
It doesn't seem to have a real, true physical resemblance, I should say, to Sasquatch.
Yeah, well, except that it stands up.
Yeah.
It's like on two legs. Bipedal.
I've never heard of Sheepsquatch.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, and it said the first sightings of the bizarre creature started around 1990s, like 94. Mm-hmm. And it says a group of women, they claimed they had been driving along a treacherous, icy road in a location in West Virginia known as the TNT area. And when they were cautiously inching along to try not to get stuck or get in an accident, they were surprised by a large creature which lumbered out of the woods in front of them. 7 to 8 feet tall, covered in scraggly white hair, pointed snout, ram-like horns, and human-looking legs. Yeah.
Okay.
So the mysterious creature allegedly froze when the headlights hit it, and then ran back off in the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as this report was made, others came pouring in, and there were numerous sightings made in 1994. In one account, a former Navy seaman out hunting observed the same creature emerge from the forest to crouch at a creek to drink before continuing on its way. The witness claimed to have watched it for several minutes and said it had human-like hands. Another account, a motorist spotted a tall, robust creature on a hillside that was covered in white fur that appeared to be like rags hanging off its body. In that very same year, there was another rather high-profile sighting made in Boone County by two children playing in their yard. The children reported that a beast that looked like a white bear walking on its hind legs was making its way through the underbrush on the periphery of their property when their startled screams had sent it into a mad bolt through the forest, leaving snapped saplings and tree branches in its wake. So this rag description that keeps popping out and the way it's got this angular look.
Yeah.
Some sort of weird wintertime hunting ghillie suit? Maybe? I don't know. The horns I have no explanation for. But again, it's less Sasquatch and more just not understood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Indescribable. I mean, this is a monster, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, later reports of Sheepsquatch would take on a more threatening tone. In 1995, a couple driving along, and they suddenly spotted a white bear-like creature hunched over in a roadside ditch. When the couple slowed down to see what it was, the creature had then stood up on its hind legs to reveal that it was no bear, but rather a massive beast with a horned head and, oddly, 4 eyes. The thing then, the thing then allegedly dashed at their car in a fury, slashing and banging the side of the vehicle with great force before the terrified couple sped away. They claimed that when they reached their home, they discovered that the side of their car displayed wicked scratches that looked like they had been made by claws. Okay.
Wicked scratches.
Yeah, they must have been visiting from like a northeast state.
I don't know, man. And, that's kind of oddly specific, right?
Yeah. I mean, but
there was another one in 1999.
Messing up your rental car and trying to find a clever excuse for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it doesn't say anything about them visiting or anything like that. So, I mean...
Maybe the word wicked was put in by the writer of this article.
Maybe they were evil scratches, right?
Yeah.
So, there was another supposed to be frightening encounter happened in 1999. Campers heard what they thought to be the sounds of a bear grunting, huffing, moving along in the darkness, like beyond their camp. Mm-hmm. And they were already a little spooked that a bear was in such close proximity. And so the campers were truly in a shock when out of the brush came a hulking white blur, which let out a blood-curdling, unearthly scream. And so they were fleeing for their lives, and the campers looked back to see the Sheepsquatch, right, standing in their camp glowering, or basically glaring at them. So when the campers returned the following day, or to go back to their campsite, it doesn't, totally ransacked by this thing.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so there was another apparent attack by Sheepsquatch, which was supposed to be, it was an account outlined in the 2013 episode of the TV show Monsters and Mysteries in America, which I didn't know that was a show.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me want to find it, right?
Yeah.
2 hunters claimed that a giant furry beast over 9 foot tall let out a ungodly gut-curling growl and ran at him in an aggressive manner.
Okay.
So, I mean, just by seeing that, if it ran, I mean, it could be skipping towards me, and I'm like, it's aggressive. Run for your life. It's not happy. It's aggressive.
It could be doing a prancercise. You'd be like, run away.
Totally flee. But I mean, okay, so they reported that in 2013. There was a most recent report in 2015.
Okay.
When a group of 6 Unimed campers. I just like it when it says that. It's unnamed. See, my GPS in the car used to say Unimed when it didn't have a name for a road.
And every
so
time she updates, she says that for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever, a group of 6 Unimed campers or unnamed campers saw it while camping out in a place called Folks Run. Right? One of the campers reportedly first saw the creature crouching menacingly on top of a hill around midnight. And after which he went to warn the others, and it was whatever it was to its full height, 8 or 9 feet tall. And then it started running down the hill towards the camp.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and apparently a river stood between the campers and the creature. But after trying in vain to try to find a way around it, it simply waded into the rushing water, like sloshing towards them. But by then, all the campers had gathered to watch the strange monster coming closer. Mm-hmm. And when it emerged, it looked like a huge white bipedal dog dripping water from its soaked fur. Mm-hmm. And then the campers reported that there had been a shriek from far out from the forest from somewhere else. And this apparently had frightened the creature, which whimpered and slunk back in the woods in apparent fear or passiveness.
So in a pack mentality, if an alpha makes a sudden shriek, it's like kind of calling it back.
Yeah.
That's dog manish. I don't know.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But I don't have an explanation for this.
Well, here's what gets kind of weird, too.
Yeah.
I mean, so this whole white thing is just kind of strange, seeing these, but at the site of the famous Mothman sightings in like 66 or 67 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, there was, and that's in the TNT area, too. Remember that when they talk about going to the TNT area and seeing it? Mm-hmm. Somebody was driving through the area. Around, they don't say specifically. And this guy was driving with his family. He saw a figure described as mostly white, no wings, with real thick, shaggy fur.
Yeah.
And with a head like 3 feet wide. That's pretty wide. Although it didn't have wings, it nevertheless hovered in the air and floated alongside the vehicle as they tried to tear out of there, reaching speeds up to 65 miles an hour before it apparently either gave up or got bored and flew off into the night.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was that?
No explanation.
And how can you have a 3 foot wide head? That's pretty big, right?
The thing that gets me is that all these sightings are, relatively in succession. They're in short bursts, but they're consistent, and they're all in this one specific region. Yeah. It's not like New Mexico, which is like the 5th or 6th largest state or something like that, where it's all over the place and there could be hundreds of miles between everything. West Virginia is not that big. No. Well, I mean, it's big enough, but why that one particular spot? You had Mothman. Yeah. Now you get this whole white things going on. We're in this TNT area. What if underneath the TNT area somewhere, because there's tunnels and junk out there, right? Yeah. Maybe that's where the genetic research facility is. I don't know. And maybe it's just been having problems, and maybe these things are getting out. Yeah. That's like the cosmetic lab that was in the UK, but people kept springing the animals from it, but then the animals would act out and immediately die. So it was like, way to go on springing these lab animals. Yeah. But I can't picture there's an underground genetic testing lab there. That's a bit of a stretch for me. Is it? It is. I mean, who's to say? We're talking about white, weird, furry things like Sheepsquatch, like Dogman type stuff. I mean, come on, this whole thing's a stretch. I don't. But why there? I mean, it would be just a stretch for me to say, oh, sure, a genetic testing, as opposed to, well, maybe aliens think that's the dog park and that's where they should drop their pets off. I don't think so, because it's been around since, because this is part of Cherokee lore, too, so it's been around for a long time. Well, aliens have been visiting us since. We don't know that. I do. No, you don't. No. West Virginia is the alien dog park. They drop their creatures off there. That'd be funny.
No. Would not be funny. Because why would they have dogs?
They have pets.
How do you know that?
Every superior species.
Who says they're superior?
I do.
They don't even have clothes.
They don't.
Lame.
They don't need clothes.
I mean, look, they got these big, stupid eyeballs.
Every dominant species.
They're just drones anyway. They're not even.
Has like a companion species. Like,
if they're that advanced, they probably would need a pet.
don't say that now.
Maybe the humans are the pets.
That's another theory.
So every once in a while, you just snatch somebody, take them to the vet, right?
This is my purebred West Virginian. Yeah. His name's Kevin.
No, it's like, he keeps eating crap, garbage. So I don't know. But see, when the description though, with the horns and the standing upright and the human legs and the hairless white tail, a hairless long tail,
like a possum tail.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy. That's pretty specific.
I think the hands and the legs thing to me scream Dogman Skinwalker, which is to me more spectral. So Skinwalker being the spectral. So yeah. Like the spiritual stuff.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just a cursed area. It's not like West Virginia's had a very great history. I mean, it's had a hard life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, rough mountain life full of monsters.
Yes. All right, so in this episode, we talked about space bacteria a little bit, how sonic attacks were caused by crickets, Sheepsquatch, Tesla was born in a lightning storm, right? Mm-hmm. Stupid people doing the Bird Box challenge. I think that's about all we're going to have to do for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's all I got.
Well, we should remind everybody, do our little commercial stuff.
Yes.
Get that taken care of. And Audible, it's an audio entertainment that entertains, educates, and inspires. For you, the listeners of the CreepGeeks podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/cheapgeek. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cheapgeek for your free audiobook. And we also have cool Bigfoot logo shirts and sweatshirts, everything. They're on Teespring. We posted the promo code on our Facebook page. We'll post the promo code for 25% off in the show notes for this podcast episode as well.
Yeah, because Valentine's Day is coming.
Yeah, so get your lady a Bigfoot shirt. She'll love it. And,
yes.
Again, all links and everything we talk about are in the show notes, as well as giving us a rating on iTunes and ways to contact us. But if you do need to contact us, go ahead, contact@creepgeeks.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook. That'll be Facebook, and then just type Creep Geeks in the search bar and you'll find us. And join our Facebook group. It's growing. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, people post all sorts of fun stuff there.
Yeah, and it's not just spooky stuff. If you just want to relax and post a joke or a meme, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got some pretty exciting stuff coming up here in the next couple of months that we'll talk about next podcast, but we just figured we'd kind of throw one out there, some little bit of information, because we actually have a couple different things we want to take care of. But this particular podcast, we were going to do a while ago, but instead we went to Helen's Bridge. And if you go to our YouTube channel, and you find the Creep Geeks YouTube channel, we actually had an opportunity to go out with Daniel from MND, and he gave us a little explanation of some experience that he's had at Helen's Bridge in Asheville, North Carolina, and it's kind of neat. You remember, it was sadly, it was really sort of foggy, hazy, dark. It was perfect for it.
And I was bummed because it was spur of the moment. He's like, "Hey, you want to go see it?" Yeah. And then the next thought, I didn't bring any of my gear. Yeah. So you should check that video out. Yeah. And we are going to talk about that in one of our upcoming podcasts. Helen's Bridge it's allegedly one of the most haunted places in Asheville, North Carolina. And like one of the top 10 haunted places in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we'll have a link to that in our show notes as well. You can also find it on our Creep Geeks page on Facebook's.
We'll also put a link to Daniel at M&D Paranormal in the show notes for this podcast episode as well.
So it was very, very nice. And let me see. Are we missing anything?
No, just keep growing.
Oh, the Fringe podcast actually gave us a little bit of a shout out. Very much appreciated in one of their recent podcasts that they just did. I think it was episode number 5, where they had a recap for 2018. They pretty much called us out by name. Very much appreciated. So if they're listening, if they've made it this far and they're listening to this particular podcast, we do appreciate the help and support and all the kind words.
Yeah.
And you should check them out. We'll put a link in the show notes as well so you can listen to their podcast. It's like Fringe. It's on the Fringe, man. So it's a cool name, by the way. I kind of like that. So.
But keep listening. We appreciate you guys listening, subscribing to the podcast, and keep growing the podcast by sharing it with your friends. Share it on social media. And be sure to let us know you're listening. We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. All right, everybody. We're going to go for now, but we'll be back soon. Big news. All right, so see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I like peanut butter.